There has been so many interesting headlines recently. This week has been a mess in the world of pharmacy. So this week we had 12 Kansas City CVS locations close. Um, we had CVS announce that they're going to close 900 locations by 2024, so 10% reduction. Rite Aid is closing 400 to 500 in their bankruptcy. Walgreens is looking at closing about 150. A lot going on in the grocery store markets as well, with Aldi and Winn-Dixie and Kroger and Albertsons. It is a really crazy time across retail too. I mean, if you leave the world of pharmacy and just look at retail, so many crazy closings and headlines in major cities, but and pharmacy specifically, there is a lot going on right now. So, you personally, I think if I were playing, all sides of the industry, I would make sure my stores are staffed. It seems like from a strategic standpoint, I'm not sure where you want to weigh in on that, but I mean, with so much going on, where do you see where do you see opportunities for independent pharmacies to fill those gaps and to you know really keep things moving and keep those patients served? As there's complete chaos in pharmacy right now.
It is. And I think so. This is like the $1 million question, right? I think a lot of pharmacies, okay, they see that the local CVS just closed, right? And you say, okay, so, all of those patients are going to be looking for a new home, right? And so what are the other opportunities in that community that can help support them? Right. So the immediate thought process is, oh, let's jump on the bandwagon. Let's try to, market, even though we're the worst marketers on the face of the planet. But let's market ourselves, right, to get those patients to come by. And they probably already know that you're in the community and you exist and whatever. But then the challenge becomes, okay, we're adding this volume. Can we manage it? Do we have the resources? Do we support it? And then are we actually generating revenue from the patients that are coming on board because of what's happening, right? And so for the bigger entities, right, the retail entities that are closing down, I mean, yeah, it's really unfortunate for those patients. But if you look at the conglomerate ecosystem as a whole, right, it doesn't really affect them that much, right? They're not going to bed at night saying, oh, woe is me, we just closed 900 stores. They're just looking to see, how do we reinvest so that we can acquire these patients in other ways, right? Now, in pharmacy, we kind of have to look at that in a similar light as, okay, there's a pool of patients. It's a race to acquisition of lives, as I said before. So how do we do that? How do you do it strategically? How do you do it so that you can continue to not only just, strain your staffs as strained as they already are, but how can you engage in them? And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about if you're acquiring patients, how do you optimize that patient, right? So when you're looking, obviously, you know that these patients were at CVS, right? You know what insurances that they have, or, whatever pharmacy that they're at. You kind of know what insurances that they have. Most of them were probably driven to go that way, do the
Sure.
mail order thing with them and all that. So you kind of have an idea. So if you're that pharmacy, what happens when you're acquiring? I don't think it's as simple as just, hey, we're going to take all these patients and we're going to help them. You have to be very strategic about how you do it. I do completely agree about the concept of, and you got to figure out how to successfully staff your pharmacies to be able to manage that patient load. But it goes back to what we were talking about before. Yeah, you're staffing your patients, but are you you're staffing your pharmacy to take care of those patients, but are you staffing them at a loss, right? Are you staffing them for 100 scripts that you're losing on, right? So the game has changed for us entirely. That sadly, it's not just as easy as flipping the light switch on and letting everybody in. And so I think you have to be strategic. Now, that being said, we've spent the last 45 minutes talking about all these other wealth of opportunities to engage patients on that the patient's not tied to a script anymore, right?
Mm.
Like this podcast says, how are you going beyond the script to now bring those patients in? So if I'm an independent community pharmacy owner and I see that these pharmacies are closing down, what am I doing or what have I done that's going to entice that patient and not only come and get their prescriptions from us, but even if I'm filling them at a loss, am I doing other things? Do I have a broader OTC section that's now supporting that patient base? Do I have a wellness program where I can do diabetes education or other things with them? Am I doing other things to now support those patients that when they come in, the totality of that patient's care isn't just the value, if you will, the financial value isn't just tied to a script. It's tied to a script and the wealth of service opportunities that I can engage in, right?